Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Now, regarding today's battle, I did have several reservations about actually showing this game, for reasons that will become apparent once the battle starts. Nevertheless, I decided that I was going to make a video out of this, even though I'm positive there are going to be several things in this battle that are going to push people's buttons and make them hit that dislike button. But the reason I decided to go ahead and show this battle was because there are a couple of things that happen in this game that I have never seen happen in World of Tanks before. First, a bit of context. This is Harapeko Jaeger. He plays on the Southeast Asian server. This is a Tier 2 battle. He's in the Tier 2, allegedly, light tank, the Hotchkiss H35. This tank is a bit of a Seal Clubber's favourite. It's not as ridiculously overpowered as the Panzer IIJ, but it's also a lot easier to get a hold of. It's not a premium, this is a regular tech tree French Tier 2 alleged light tank. And I say alleged light tank because this thing is actually very well armoured for a Tier 2. It has 40mm of armour everywhere. Turret, hull, front, side, rear. 40mm, which effectively makes it completely immune to the kind of autocannons that it's going to see within its matchmaking spread. The kind of autocannons that the majority of its opponents are going to be armed with. Not completely immune though. An autocannon can still penetrate the weak spots on the Hotchkiss H35. But just exactly how accurate are the kind of autocannons that tanks are armed with down at this kind of level, and how close are they going to have to get in order to hit those weak spots, and how many Tier 2 players even know where the weak spots are in the first place. So, like I said, it's a bit of a favourite amongst Seal Clubbers, and thus we come to the first reason why I was a bit hesitant about including this battle in today's video, because I knew it was probably going to upset a lot of people. Harapeko is very, very definitely Seal Clubbing in this particular match. He is a very good player, although possibly not quite as good as his stats might suggest, for reasons that are probably becoming apparent by now. And this is one of the reasons why I was hesitant to actually include this battle in today's video in the first place. With a win rating of just over 60% over nearly 50,000 battles played, there's clearly no reason for him to be playing a Tier 2 tank unless he's grinding his way up yet another tech tree, or Seal Clubbing just for shits and giggles, or possibly down here spamming gold ammunition at Tier 2 tanks in an overpowered tank for its tier in an effort to improve or maintain his already pretty impressive win rating. And as you've probably guessed by now, he does this quite often. His average tier of tank played over nearly 50,000 battles is Tier 5, which means he plays everything regularly, from Tier 1 all the way up to Tier 10. In the last week, the average tier of tanks that he's played has actually been less than Tier 5, so let's just say he's no stranger to spamming gold at low tier tanks. And that was the primary reason why I was extremely hesitant about actually including this battle in today's video, because I know it is definitely going to push a lot of people's buttons. I mean, Seal Clubbing is really not something that we should be promoting. And yet at the same time I am showing this battle, and the reason for that is, as I stated earlier, there are two things occurring in this battle that I have never seen happen before in a game of World of Tanks. One of those things we've already seen, and in fact we're continuing to see it, and you may not have even realised. In fact, when I was watching this replay for the first time, I didn't even realise until towards the end of the battle. Now, while I am definitely in favour of any measures that cut down on the amount of Seal Clubbing that goes on in World of Tanks, there are not actually that many low tier players being inconvenienced by Harapeko in this Tier 2 battle. Because if you take a look at the team lists, 7 of the players on each team aren't players at all. They're bots. If you look at the names of the players in the team lists, anything that has a colon in front of it is a bot. Now when I noticed, I got extremely confused. I thought, what's going on? Have they introduced co-op battles into World of Tanks in the same way that they have in World of Warships? No. And this was something that I had never seen happen before. This is a regular random battle. That's actually a player. You can tell by all of the gold ammo that's being spammed. Yes, an American M2 light tank, another favourite amongst Seal Clubbers, thanks to the decent armour, although it must be angled properly, but hey, if you're a Seal Clubber you know all about armour angling. It also has superior speed and manoeuvrability to the Hotchkiss H35, and it definitely has a better gun selection. But yes, I mean, the presence of actual human players on the other team indicates that this is most definitely not some new cooperative battle mode, the same way that you play against bots in co-op battle in World of Warships. What's actually happening here, and unless you're a professional SEAL clubber or a new player yourself, it's entirely possible that you had absolutely no idea that this was actually taking place in World of Tanks, is that in low-tier matches, if the matchmaker is spending too long trying to put a team together, what it will do is it will just divvy up the available actual players amongst the two teams and then populate the rest with bots. And this is actually quite commonplace on the Southeast Asian server, where the server population isn't as large as in the Russian server or the EU server. I'd imagine it's also reasonably common on the North American server, which has around about double the server population of the Southeast Asian server, but still less than half of that of the EU. You've probably noticed, and it's probably not surprising, that Harapiko is not just the last surviving actual player on his team, but he's also the only player on his team who's actually killed anything. What may surprise you, although it may not surprise you that much because, you know, he is a professional SEAL clubber after all, is that he hasn't just been farming kills on bots. In fact, everything that he's killed so far, and almost everything that he's shot at, has actually been another player. In fact, there are only 2 surviving players on the enemy team, although, equally unsurprisingly, they're the ones with all the kills so far. It's also worth pointing out that you may have been hard-pressed to determine the difference between those players that he's killed so far and the bots, because, well, they did just kind of drive straight towards him and get picked off one by one. The bots, in fact, have done better. Don't worry, it doesn't get any better at tier 10. At this point, of course, Harapiko is the last, well, not just the last player left alive on his team, but he's the last thing left alive on his team. Period. That's his first actual bot kill. And like I said, it can, well, certainly in this battle, often be hard to tell the difference. Generally, as a rule of thumb, if it's firing gold ammo at you, it's probably not a bot. Although the bots do apparently also load and fire gold ammunition. If they can't penetrate you with a regular ammo, they will switch to gold. Which, if you think about it, probably actually makes it harder. I mean, especially if you're in a tank like this, because how many regular players, and I'm not talking about the SEAL clubbers here, just new players, can afford to load gold ammo? Not many, unless they're rerolls. But the bots can and do. That's probably playing havoc with Wargaming's claimed statistic that only 5% of all ammunition fired across all random battles is actually gold ammo. Yeah, I'd like to see how they're going to spin that one. Harapiko's positioning here, of course, is very, very sensible. Remember, this tank has very thick armour for tier 2, 40mm everywhere. And he's positioned in such a way to be angled against any potential attacks coming from both available directions. Don't worry, it's just a bot. And it can't see him, he's firing through concealment. Now, to any of the actual players on the enemy team, at least one of which is a definite SEAL clubber, that has of course revealed his location. They're probably sitting up there on the high ground watching the cap circle, just waiting to see what happens to the bots as they sort of blunder towards the cap. And now he's going to have to expose himself in order to spot and hopefully finish off that 4TP. But he wasn't able to reacquire it, and yeah, he's being patient. This is the smart move. Just wait. I mean, he's outnumbered 8-1. Oh, there it is. Got it. Now, anybody watching is going to know exactly where he is, but knowing where he is and being able to do something about it are 2 entirely different things. Like I said, his positioning is very, very good. But any player with a degree of experience on the enemy team is going to be waiting for his attention to be distracted by these bots, and he has now been spotted, and yep, there it is, there's the gold ammo. Yeah. Yes, it's the SEAL clubber on the enemy team. It's the return of the M2 Light, and he's brought a friend with him. But it's just another bot. And Harapeko only really needs to score one damaging hit in order to put an end to his 9-player, well, not 9 players, but 9-tank kill streak. Harapeko is now on a 10 kill streak of his own, and we can tell by the fact that we're being capped that the surviving enemy player is sitting in the cap circle. Unfortunately for the enemy team, that M2 Lite really was their best chance of winning this, because the 7TP player sitting in the cap circle is not a professional seal clubber. Or at least he doesn't appear to be. I mean, you know, if he is, he's very bad at it. To all intents and purposes, he just seems to be exactly what he is, a player who's relatively new to the game, and has actually been having a pretty good game by most standards. I mean, he's got 2 kills, even if they were both probably bots, but he at least understood what the cap circle was for and had the sense to try to hide behind the concealment in the cap circle, so if he keeps up that level of performance, he can probably expect a reasonable future ahead of him in World of Tanks, assuming he can get over the deep-seated psychological scarring inflicted on him by Harapeko Jaeger here, a player so dedicated to the art of seal clubbing and securing the win at all costs that he apparently thinks absolutely nothing of the idea of going through 80 rounds of, yes, that's right, you heard me correctly, not 18, 80, an 8 with a 0 after it, 80 rounds of gold ammo in order to secure the win at all costs. Although, to be fair to him, this isn't going to just be a win. This is going to be a 15 kill win. Oops, sorry, don't react to that. I had my email client open while I was recording this battle. And I've never seen a 15 kill win before. Ever. I mean, I've seen a 14 kill win before, but that was in a tier 5 tank destroyer. I've managed a 12 kill win myself, but that was in a tier 5 medium. I've managed an 11 kill win myself, and that was a bit more impressive because it was in a Jagdtiger. It was a tier 9 battle. But I've never seen a 15 kill win. Few people have. Few people have even heard of 15 kill wins. But it's a bit of a shame, really, because there's a reason why you can't get those epic medals down here at tier 2. And it's specifically to prevent, or to not encourage, people from doing this, from loading up their overpowered tier 2s with 80 rounds of gold ammunition and kicking puppies in the way that Harapeko Jaeger has done today. Although one of those puppies did kick back, but, well, he's been kicking harder. So you can see why I was hesitant to actually go ahead and show this particular battle, because he is a professional seal clubber in an overpowered tier 2 tank, and he is basically just firing gold at everything. At least until he ran out of gold and then was forced to fire regular ammo. I mean, those were all the reasons why I thought maybe I don't want to show this, but then at the same time, the fact that you can now actually fight bots if the battle tier is low enough and the server population is low enough was something that I was not aware of, and felt that a lot of you probably weren't going to be aware of either. And then there is also the fact that despite the circumstances, making it less impressive than it might appear, he did still single-handedly wipe out the entire enemy team, and I've never seen that happen before. So, despite what you may think of his methods, and despite the undeniable fact that it would have been a bit more impressive at higher tier, and with slightly less bots on the enemy team, but he did still manage to do something that most of us have probably never seen before. So, regardless of how you may feel about how he achieved that result, you'd still do kind of have to, however grudgingly you may feel about it, say, well done, I guess, and hopefully now you've worked it out of your system, and please try not to make a habit out of it. Maybe leave the tier 1s and 2s alone in future, you know, give them a chance. And maybe, in the process, give your wallet a bit of a chance as well, because looking at those ammunition resupply costs, I sincerely doubt you can afford to win too many more games like that. Anyway, I'm sure that's given you all a lot to talk about in the comments, but that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.